Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, so yesterday we finally got Alliance Quest Season 10 announcement, and I know it got mixed reception. Some people are excited, some people are happy, some people are unhappy. And initially, as I went over it, I must admit that I was perhaps slightly more optimistic than I should have been. And I'll flat out admit that I did expect more than I saw yesterday, but I still thought, as of yesterday, that it is a relatively meaningful and significant buff to Alliance Quest, and truth be told, we have been waiting it for so long that I was just kind of happy to get and see one. I also think that a lot of people are missing the total amount that you can earn in Alliance Quest over the course of, let's say, 6 weeks, which would coincide to Alliance Week season, or is pretty much similar to, let's say, Battlegrounds. Because when Alliance Quest rewards are presented to us, we tend to look at them as week-by-week basis without realizing that, Alliance War season, for many people, they think it's 4 weeks. In reality, it works out pretty much as, you get them every 6 weeks. So that would be pretty much the same as 5 Alliance Quest cycles pieced together. So, number one, I did some math on that we will be going over in this video. And then on top of that, when I was making my video yesterday, Kabam actually hadn't posted the honor rewards, which is something that I commented on. And unfortunately, I have to report that the honor rewards are absolutely shit. And that is something I did not see coming. I would have been willing to bet that we will see some rank 4 materials with the highest levels of honor rewards. I thought they will put some tier 5 CCs with, the lower ones. And then, as we can see here, the highest one is 25% tier 5 CC fragment selected, which, let's face it, anybody who's playing relatively high level Alliance quests, you don't care about tier 5 CC. It's just one of those resources that kind of typically tend to appear at the highest levels of game. And I genuinely think this is one of the biggest messes that Kabam did with this entire thing. I think it should have been approximately 15-20% of tier 3 alpha and tier 6 basic catalyst respectively, and with that the Alliance Quest update actually would be significantly better, because then, regardless of your prestige, as long as you play map 8, as long as you do the hardest difficulty of the modifiers, you would have additional stable source of tier 6 basics and tier 3 alphas without having to spend all that glory there, and the entire thing would make so much more sense. I do think Kabam has made a very big error here, and with that, overall reward structure has been dragged down. Now, again, as I said, because of the way Alliance Quests present the rewards, it is easy to undervalue. So I'm going to do you guys a bit of a favor. Here I will effectively compare the rewards of 5 cycles of a top 20 AQ Alliance compared to Masters 11th to 20th finish. So this is equivalent placement. And just for full disclosure, New Nation isn't even in top 20, we're just outside of top 30. So these are better rewards listed than my own Alliance is going to be earning. But I wanted to have, let's say, a relatively high tier endgame comparison as to the rewards distribution in Alliance Quest to corresponding place in Alliance War. As in, like, let's say if you place in number 17 in AQ and if you place number 17 in War. So we're looking at those corresponding brackets, which is effectively 11th to 20th places. So we can see that in one cycle, you would be earning 12,500 tier 6 basics, 10,000 tier 3 alpha, tier 5, so on and so forth. And then I basically multiplied how much it would work out to 5 cycles, because that would correspond as to how much rewards you earn over the course of 6 weeks, like you do with Alliance War season rewards. And then those numbers do start looking significantly better, because over the course of 5 weeks, if you place in top 20 AQ, you get a full tier 6 basic, you get a full tier 3 alpha, you get 2 tier 5 CCs, and you get 15.6 tier 5 basics, 40 tier 2 alphas, but that is just the ranked rewards. We obviously have the map rewards, which is another thing that Kabam kind of left a bit ambiguous, but I will try my best to read between the lines here, because typically when they do showcase these rewards, as I'm gonna highlight them from this list, map 8 Conqueror rewards, tier 5 basic catalyst fragments plus 6000 tier 12 catalyst fragments. This is typically counted per battle group. So each clear would get, and also exploration rewards if you 100% finish the map, 10,000 tier 5 basic catalyst fragment, 10,500 tier 5 basic catalyst fragments a day per battle group. So that would be 31,500 tier 5 B frags a day if all of the battle groups finish up. So that amounts for a quite substantial amount of tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas. As we can see, over the course of 5 weeks, that would grant you 17.5 and 27.5 tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas playing map 8 and exploring those maps. Additionally, here we have the extremely negligible and absolute fail of honor rewards, which would be another 1.25 tier 5 CCs, which is honestly so bad. Jesus effing Christ. Jesus Christ, come on, how could you butcher the honor word so badly? And then we have glory. Obviously, it's up to you how you spend your glory and how much you invest in what type of resource, but if you do get in top 20, you will probably get slightly above 7,000 glory per week, of which you could spend 5,800 to get 20% tier 6 basic, 20% tier 3 alpha weekly, and you would have about 1,300, 1,400 left over. But if you would do that, that would give you another full tier 6 basic, tier 3 alpha catalyst over the course of 5 weeks. So in total, in Alliance Quest, basically in the length it would be as comparable to Alliance War Season, you can earn 2 tier 6 basics, 2 tier 3 alphas, 3.25 tier 5 CCs, and abnormal amount tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas. This is like the one big highlight of the Alliance Quest changes there. Unfortunately, tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas are not as relevant anymore. But comparatively speaking, Alliance War Season rewards grant you for spot 11th to 20th 1.5 tier 6 basics, 1.5 tier 3 alphas, 1 tier 5 CC, 5 tier 5 basics, and then obviously the 6-star shards and 6-star nexuses, and we have the tier 6 class catalyst resource. Additionally, depending how much work you do in your alliance, you can get probably another half a tier 6 basic, tier 3 alpha in Alliance War from the loyalty store. You can probably, save 1 million loyalty, most likely, if you're not spending much of it on the Alliance War potions and items to buy additional items, but I did not include it here. So comparatively speaking, here is kind of like the big problem that I see with Alliance Quest rewards. Number one is that they did butcher honor rewards. If honor rewards would be better, AQ would be looking spiffing. AQ, in my opinion, would be looking amazing if these honor rewards would add to another tier 6 basic, tier 3 alpha, over the course of 5 weeks. Then they would be looking quite good. Because then that would be like a full rank up just from AQ and a crap ton of tier 5 basic, tier 2 alphas. Right now, though, obviously, there is no tier 6 class catalyst, which is the highest resource. And let's say if you equate the 6-star shard gain with the tier 5 basic and tier 2 alpha gain, then they have barely brought Alliance Quest in line with Alliance War, which is typically not good enough. Like, what's the best way to compare it? When you update something, you ought not to try to bring it barely to the current economy level. You typically tend to bring it slightly above, so it lasts a bit. So you don't have people, crapping on it 1, 2, or 3 months later. especially considering that these Alliance War Season rewards now will already be here for 2 months, and since Kabam said that they're going to keep updating these in smaller increments, we can probably expect these to be updated in another couple of seasons, in which case Alliance Quest rewards is still going to be brought down further behind. But I did still want to make this video, number one, to give a full insight of what you can actually get from Alliance Quest, and the short answer is you get a reasonably good amount of tier 6 basics, tier 3 alphas, if you spend your glory on it and if you place relatively highly. But you will almost definitely get absolutely crazy amounts of tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas, even if you just play map 8 without being up high in prestige. However, I do think that most of the people kind of expected more. And I do think that Kabam kind of undershot this. It took a bit of a while to set in, which is exactly why I do like to look at numbers and compare them. But yeah, considering that we do not have the tippy top resource in Alliance Quest at all, which we do have in AW, and considering that the heaviest accent quite clearly is on tier 5 basics and tier 2 alphas, which I'm sure a ton of people will be extremely excited about, but let's face it, those resources have become significantly easy to acquire in recent half a year. And when it comes to tier 6 basics and tier 3 alphas, only way you get a competitive amount to Alliance War or other game modes is if you dedicate vast majority of the glory to it. And that is also not taking in consideration really whether and how much you will want to spend your glory on relics and alloys and things of similar, well, things of that nature. So you might not be able to afford to get as much tier 6 basics and tier 3 alphas as well. So, upon closer inspection, I must say that Alliance Quest reward improvement is barely passable today, but it will be considered bad/shit a month from now, or 2 months from now, or 3 months from now, which I don't think is good. I think they missed honor rewards completely, and yeah, I'm not so sure anymore. The one good thing that I do like quite a bit is that a very significant portion of the tier 5 basics, tier 6 basics, tier 3 alphas come just from playing map 8 and just from using your glory, rather directly from the top rank rewards, which means that chasing prestige is not quite as big of a difference as it has been previously in past. As long as you play map 8, and as long as you get meaningful amounts of glory that you are able to spend on some tier 6 basic, tier 3 alpha fragments, not being in top 10 or top 5 prestige alliance does not have as big of a detriment. Therefore, people do not have to feel as desperate to chase prestige, which is exactly what I thought Kabam would try to avoid. Which is exactly why I thought that Alliance Quest rewards are going to be absolutely filthy, because relics are tied to prestige. Kabam has been throwing out prestige champions like crazy, and in essence, I thought that Kabam is basically going to go all in to make prestige basically mandatory to chase if you don't want to be left behind with like massive amount of rewards. But from a player perspective, I think this is kind of good. From Kabam business perspective, I think they are making quite a big mistake by not making AQ rank rewards more meaningful than they are. Because with that, yeah, the whole super high relic prestige chase becomes a bit less relevant. The whole super high prestige champion chase becomes a bit less relevant, which obviously is something that, you know, Kabam would ideally like to avoid. So I am a bit surprised. And yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Now that you can see kind of like comparable numbers that you would get over the course of 5 weeks What are your thoughts of AQ rewards buff? Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the